Welcome to ZoomInData. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining the 21st video in our extended Azure Logic Apps series. In this session, titled Azure Logic Apps with Event Grid and Event-Driven Architecture, we will cover core concepts of event-driven architecture, EDA, and why it's superior for modern, scalable systems. How Azure Event Grid acts as the nervous system for reactive, decoupled integrations. Step-by-step patterns for building event-driven workflows with Logic Apps as the consumer or producer. Advanced topics, custom topics, domains, system topics, filtering, retry policies, and hybrid scenarios, 2026 edition. Event-driven design is one of the most powerful patterns in cloud-native applications, and pairing it with Logic Apps creates extremely flexible, resilient, and scalable solutions. If you find this content valuable, please subscribe to ZoomInData and enable notifications. What is event-driven architecture, EDA, and why use it with Logic Apps? EDA is a design pattern where services react to events, state changes, instead of direct calls, request response. Benefits: loose coupling, scalability, real-time processing, resilience to failures, easier extensibility. Logic Apps excels as an event consumer, trigger on events, or producer, publish events to Event Grid. What is Azure Event Grid and how does it compare to Service Bus? Event Grid is a fully managed subservice optimized for event distribution, fan-out, at massive scale. It uses push-push model, near real-time, versus Service Bus pull model, polling. Event Grid is ideal for reactive patterns, Service Bus for reliable messaging with queues, topics. What are the main Event Grid components used with Logic Apps? Event sources, any Azure service, blob, resource manager, IoT hub, or custom topic. Topics and domains, custom topics for publishing events, domains for organizing multiple topics. Event subscriptions, filters events and routes to handlers, Logic Apps, functions, webhooks. System topics, auto-created for Azure services, e.g., blob storage events. How do you create a Logic Apps workflow triggered by an Event Grid event? Create new Logic App. Add trigger. Search. Event Grid. Choose when a resource event occurs, system topic, or when an event is published to custom topic. Select subscription, resource group, resource type, and event types. Example, blob created, resource write success. What are the most common Event Grid system topics used with Logic Apps? Blob storage, blob created, blob deleted. Trigger file processing workflows, resource manager, write success, delete success. React to infrastructure changes. IoT hub, device created, device telemetry. Real-time device event processing. Event hubs, capture file created, process archived batches. How do you publish custom events from Logic Apps to Event Grid? Add publish events to Event Grid action, Event Grid connector. Provide topic endpoint and key, system managed or custom topic. Construct event payload, subject, event type, data, JSON object, event time. Best practice: use managed identity for authentication, no keys in workflow. What filtering capabilities does Event Grid offer for Logic Apps triggers? Event type filtering, example only blob created, not blob deleted. Subject filtering, begins with, ends with, contains. Advanced filtering. Data field matching. Example, data. Content type equals, image, JPEG. Reduces unnecessary workflow invocations and costs. How do you implement retry and dead lettering in Event Grid subscriptions? Event Grid automatically retries failed deliveries, exponential backoff, up to 24 hours. Configure dead letter storage, Azure Storage Queue, for undeliverable events after max retries. Create separate Logic Apps workflow to process dead letter queue for manual handling or alerting. Describe a classic event-driven pattern. Blob upload processing. Event Grid system topic on storage account. Blob created event. Logic Apps trigger. When a resource event occurs, blob created. Actions. Get blob content. Pass. Transform. Store in data lake. Notify via Teams. Update metadata. Benefit. Decoupled. Upload succeeds even if downstream processing fails. How do you build a fan-out pattern with Event Grid and Logic Apps? Publish single event to custom topic. Example, order created. Multiple subscriptions route event to different Logic Apps. Example, inventory check, billing, notification, reporting. Each handler processes independently. No single point of failure. What is Event Grid domain and when to use it? Domains allow grouping multiple topics under one namespace. Example, orders.domain.com. Useful for multi-tenant or multi-department systems. Subscriptions can filter on topic name. Example, orders, Department A, asterisk. How do you secure Event Grid events and Logic Apps endpoints? Use managed identity for publishing, no keys. Validate Event Grid webhook signatures in HTTP request trigger. Use private endpoints for Logic Apps standard to restrict inbound traffic. Apply Event Grid resource RBAC to control who can publish, subscribe. How do you monitor Event Grid plus Logic Apps event flows? Event Grid metrics, matched events, delivery failures, dead lettered events. Logic Apps run history plus Azure monitor for handler success, failure. Use log analytics query. Correlate Event Grid delivery ID with Logic Apps correlation ID. What are advanced filtering and routing patterns? Use advanced filters to route based on event payload. Example data. Order type equals premium. Combine with Azure functions for dynamic routing decisions. Use domains plus topic filtering for hierarchical routing, sales, orders, asterisk versus support, tickets, asterisk. How do you handle exactly once processing in event-driven systems? Event Grid delivers at least once. Logic Apps must be idempotent. Use unique event ID or subject plus data hash to deduplicate. Store processed event IDs in Cosmos DB or Dataverse with TTL. What is the role of Event Grid in hybrid event scenarios? On-premises systems publish to Event Grid via custom topic, using REST API. Logic Apps standard in hybrid mode, Azure Arc, can consume events locally. Enables reactive hybrid integrations without polling. How does Event Grid integrate with AI workflows in Logic Apps? Event. New document uploaded. Logic Apps. Calls Azure OpenAI for analysis. AI result published back to Event Grid. Triggers downstream workflows. Approval, archiving. Enables event-driven AI pipelines. What are common anti-patterns to avoid? Polling instead of event grid, high cost, latency, no idempotency, duplicate side effects on retries, overly broad subscriptions, unnecessary workflow invocations. How have Event Grid plus Logic Apps capabilities improved as of January 2026? Faster delivery latency and higher throughput for system topics. Enhanced advanced filtering with regex and JSON path support. Better integration with MCP servers for AI agent event consumption. Why is event-driven knowledge critical for interviews? Interviewers ask. Design a reactive order processing system using Event Grid and Logic Apps. Tests understanding of decoupling, scalability, and resilience. Shows modern cloud-native thinking beyond request-response patterns. What final advice would you give for building event-driven solutions? Always design for at least once delivery right pointing arrow make everything idempotent. Use Event Grid for fan-out and reactivity. Service Bus for ordered, queued processing. Monitor delivery failures and dead letter queues proactively. Start simple, system topics, then move to custom topics, domains as complexity grows. Thank you for watching this detailed session on Azure Logic Apps with Event Grid and event-driven architecture. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to ZoomInData. More advanced Azure Logic Apps content is coming soon. Stay connected and keep learning. See you in the next video.